Hello all, Shadwell here, ready to talk about the next film in my collection, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness from 2022. It's directed by Sam Raimi and stars Benedict Cumberbatch and Elizabeth Olsen. This is the closest thing that Marvel has to a horror movie. It was always built up as going to be Marvel's first horror film, but in the end it's more of a horror spectacle film, if that makes any sense. I mean, it's a horror film in the sense that a Sam Raimi horror film is a horror film, which makes sense actually because this film is directed by Sam Raimi. And I need to clarify that Sam has made one film that is pure horror, and that was the first The Evil Dead, and he did spectacularly with it, and we'll be talking about it soon enough. But every other horror film he has done since, regardless of how horrifying it is, has a sense of play or spectacle to it. And so Marvel, who probably didn't want to go full-blown horror with this film, hired Raimi to pull his Raimi tricks out of his bag and make Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness a balanced affair, as it feels just as comfortable in the horror section as it does in the superhero section, but doesn't fully belong in either. And to be honest, although I love Sam Raimi and believe he can do very little wrong in this world, I would have liked a fully horror extravaganza with this film. We do get a pretty good score from Danny Elfman though, and speaking of the score, there's this chord that plays to heighten a couple of the jump scares in this film that sounded really familiar to me the first time I watched this, and I had to go through my brain to figure out where I had heard it before, and about 30 minutes after the film I realized it is a chord directly lifted from Fabio Frizzi's score for the Lucio Fulci film City of the Living Dead that we talked about a bit ago. That really bugged me the first time I watched this film and was really on my mind, and it was nice to watch the film this time with an unburdened mind. However, this film does, as my husband likes to say, do Wanda dirty, and he's totally right, as she is the villain of the piece and probably the most sympathetic villain in all of the MCU, as she just wants to get to her kids. And she will stop at nothing, and there's literally almost nothing she can't do to begin with her magic, to get back to them after having them briefly in Marvel's first and arguably best TV series, WandaVision. And so with that in mind, I have to give Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness a grade of B- because I wanted horror and just better cosmic treatment of Wanda, because damn it, she deserved better. Tomorrow it's the final 50 Drive-In Movie Classics film, Women of Devil's Island. See y'all then.